Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay. Here I am in Burlington, and I just finished all the resharing on X because, it's still not going to the timeline. There may be a bug, but at least we got the reshares all done just in time.
Yay.
Yay.
And welcome. And then next time we see you, you'll be in studio with me. Yay.
Yeah, the next time the audience sees me, I'll be in studio with you. Yay. I'm glad that it excites you and makes you happy.
Yeah, of course. It's been a busy 2 weeks. Although we did get to see you for a couple of days last week. But yeah, it's been a busy 2 weeks with you being away. How's it been for you?
I miss you guys, but it's been exciting on the go. Lots of stuff to get done. So as long as I'm busy, time flies by. So I'm doing that. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, and it's been exactly that. It's for me, it's just been long days, and next thing I know, it's like we're having our evening call with you, and then I'm thinking, okay, 9:30, we've got to go, take the dogs out at our friend's place, and then it's okay, kids bed, and then lather, rinse, repeat. It just goes, it's just been flying, but busy.
Yep. And I was bragging a lot yesterday that I get to have a 26-hour birthday. Because I'll gain 2 more hours when I come back on my birthday. So I'll get 26 hours on my birthday. I hope you utilize it.
Yes. That's what it will be. Just, okay, babe, welcome home. Let's go catch up on some rest.
Well, I'm coming home early afternoon. We should have some fun.
Yeah, you have the luxury of, you go back in time. And you do get those extra time. You get those extra couple of hours, which is pretty cool.
Yep, my 26-hour birthday. Birthday.
It's your birthday. Oh my God, tomorrow already. Got a lot of stuff to get done today.
Give us a thumbs up if you think it should be Jason's birthday, or a heart if you think it should be Valentine's Day. Let Paula know which one you think that should be.
It's always been your birthday, because every day is Valentine's Day.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. So how is everything over in sunny? Is it sunny, Breton?
Yeah, it's today's meant to be a little bit cloudy, still warm. But yeah, yesterday was sunny, 8 degrees. The sun was out, the melt was still on. But yeah, and it was actually, I treated the kids after I picked our eldest up from Taco Thursday at Youth Club. I took them out for dinner at Salt and Pepper. Because as we're leaving, Jacob said, "Oh, we're getting JJ? Yes. Salt and Pepper? You want salt and pepper for dinner?" Yes. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So we had a little salt and pepper for dinner.
It looks like you got the lighting working today.
Yes, it stayed on. It comes up.
But I believe it's wood. Anyways, better than your head. So I'm knocking on your head. And how are the animals? Everybody's got the routine down. And now tomorrow's your last day of the routine?
Yeah, today's our last afternoon. Today will be our last night. And tomorrow will be our last morning. And then, because we have another friend who's going to take care of the dog bathroom visits for us, so we can go and get you and spend the rest of the day with you. They're fine, except for we lost a hen yesterday, walked into the coop, and there she was, just there. So we lost one hen.
Predator?
It's natural causes. There was no predator. The coop was all enclosed. But yeah, so we had one lost hen, which will go to food to be for the coyotes once BT gets back. And then, but no, all the other animals are upright. And Penny is definitely in heat because the entire time I let the pigs out, Wilbur was all over her. Literally, all over.
But he was over her. Was he over her?
Yeah, exactly. He tried. It is quite hilarious seeing the height difference between them, but bless him, they're walking around, there's snow, there's ice everywhere, and he's still trying his luck. So we'll see if he's been successful this season. Otherwise, like we said, we're going to have to make a decision on what we're going to do with the pigs that we have.
So that means pretty clearly he wasn't successful before.
Well, yeah, she's coming to season this time. Right. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
You want to get to work, Wilbur?
Yeah. Yeah, your life depends on it. Yeah, so.
Oh boy, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, but otherwise everything else was fine. Animals are good. Our lot is good. And slowly there's a melt, so the path up to the shed is cleared a little bit more because as it's melting, it's all draining down. Yeah,
Mhm.
all is fine at home.
Very good. Well, nice to hear. Can't wait to get back there tomorrow. So today will be a really busy day with the Oakville showing, the last showing of this part of the tour, which is the screening, the private screenings. And we've been tweaking the documentary daily every time we screen it. So it's slightly different than it was at the very beginning. We added some more B-roll, added some more Doug Ford, because boy, he gets people riled up. And at the end, we're going to be adding photos from the screenings to the credits. So add a little bit of something to watch, a little bit of special time for the people that came to the first screenings. We're going to be adding you to the credits. So if you haven't got your Oakville ticket or not planning to come to the Oakville one, do so. And then you'll be part of this documentary going forward.
Yeah, and you can do that last minute tickets for today. You can go get it.
And the last time we'll be using Eventbrite, so we'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah, exactly. But you can go to supportsean.ca where you can purchase tickets for the event for tonight in Oakville, as well as donate to the Give Send Go for Dan Hartman's legal case.
You can pre-order your DVD as well. You can collect some merch, and stay tuned on that website over the next few weeks as we're releasing more event dates and times and locations. Yep. So, and Alberta's next for my part of the tour, and Dean is going to continue with Ontario, probably get all the way up to Montreal. So keep on there. And if you want to request a screening, which means come to my town, or I can help you come to my town, fill out that form and we'll get back to you. We're almost at 100 requests right now, all over the world, all the way to Australia, UK, all over the US, and definitely coast to coast in Canada. So go ahead and put your request in there. It'll let us know where you are, and we'll reach out to you directly about possibly doing a screening, or we'll come to you and do a screening as well.
Yep, that'd be cool.
And to the person that posted Toronto yesterday, we are in Oakville. So go ahead and come and join us in Oakville tonight. I'll send them a direct message today as well.
Go ahead.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the news because there's quite a few things to get to. Who's that guy? All right. So yesterday was great with Mia Hughes and James Jack Decker, as we were talking about the tragedy in BC and Tumbler Ridge, and digging past the surface level on this one when it comes to being a good journalist, because Mia is a journalist as well, ensuring that you're not just knee-jerk reacting and getting to the label side of things. It's not about guns. It's not about trans. There's a lot more going on here. And Mia was a fantastic guest yesterday because she has a wealth of experience when it comes to the gender ideology nonsense, plus school shooting, how it's a social contagion, both of them. So her expertise is actually social contagions, which means these are things that happen and then other people do it. It's kind of like, yeah, it's contagious. You end up doing it. Got into the offing or finalizing your life issue as well. I want to be careful because in YouTube at the beginning of your show, you got to stay away from certain words. But it was a wealth of information from Mia. And then Jack himself experienced some of the stuff like conversion therapy in the early 80s. And he's a gay man, he's a conservative, and we were talking about Bill C-4, where Bill C-4 itself may have had good intentions, as Jack put it, but absolutely had horrible results. It created a system where even confused kids have no way to get counseling. If you start to transition and you detransition, there's no way to get assistance or counseling. It's against the law. You can actually get jail time for helping that. And how he believed at first he was celebrating it, but now he thinks it needs to be repealed. The more that he sees the effects of it, reads it carefully, and understands it, it's not about protecting homosexuality therapy or forcing people away from homosexuality, which is what the derogatory label of conversion therapy means to a lot of people. And it turned out to be a gender ideology, forcing the gender ideology, and it became conversion therapy to trans.
Correct. The irony of it. Exactly. And there's one thing that Jack and me both highlighted, the conversion therapy of old, which was to convert from being a homosexual, isn't in existence today. It truly isn't. Jack experienced it, he said, in the 80s. But today, there's no really such thing, at least in Canada, of conversion therapy. So it truly is. It's the conversion to a homosexual relationship or to the trans ideology, for sure.
And near the end, what we got to was there should be more resources. Mia said there definitely needs to be more resources for mental health, but also for not just for children or people experiencing this, but for the parents to understand it as well. If there's more resources and more education with the parents, then you absolutely could understand what Jack was going through in the 80s, and then also what children are going through today, and definitely assist so that we can avoid repeated tragedies like we saw in Tumbler Ridge, and just in the mental health of children and parents as well. It's something that Mia was very passionate about, and Jack absolutely agreed. After the show, both of them reached out and said, thank you so much for the episode. I think it was helpful. It was also helpful to all of us to kind of get some of these feelings out and have this open conversation. So I really appreciate Mia and Jack for that. And we'll see more of Mia soon. On February 28th, we'll be doing a special episode where we continue the Fundamental Truth Q&A debate that happened with Bruce Party, Mia, Leighton Gray. We're still hoping to get Sean Buckley. I'll follow up with him today. And myself and Melanie Bennett will be hosting and moderating that panel.
Very cool. That should be a good show.
Thank you. Okay, so Dr. Mack is here, basically highlighting if your doctor talks like Neil Stone. We know Neil Stone. He's a crackpot. He seems to be one of the biggest pushers of the vaccine still, and still using safe and effective. Keep calling them safe and effective, and saying they work. But Dr. Mackis, who's now a Dr. Mackis MD again, notice his name has changed back to Dr. Mackis MD because he's got his license down in Florida. Just highlighting here, if your doctor talks like this, fire them immediately. Get a new one. So good job, Mackis, on that one. Let's never forget Kayla Pollack too. So Kayla Pollack, kind of every once in a while she'll pop up and then kind of fade away. And I think that's a cycle of COVID vaccine injury and COVID vaccine in general. The public is kind of fatiguing on it. They're like, because here's the thing. Either you understand that there's a problem and there are people that are injured and died from this, or you don't. But there's not a lot of people moving sides on this anymore. It's kind of like there's the two camps now. And, you know, people are getting fatigued from it. But please don't. There are people that are still suffering and still need to get assistance. And our country, soon, hopefully Alberta is not part of that one, but offers MAIDS, which is medical assistance in dying, and offered it 3 times to Kayla Pollack. Not because she wanted it, it's because they wanted it. So keep paying attention to this. This is horrible. And we've heard reports like this for vets as well, being offered MAIDS as a way to, I guess, financially not be a burden or dependent on the coffers of the taxpayers. And that's not the purpose of MAIDS. It's not meant to be an economic tool. It's meant to be end of life. And I think it needs to be revoked. We've already had end of life stuff. We've been doing this for centuries. We didn't need government assistance in that. So keep your Kayla in your prayers, and if you can assist her, go check out one of her posts. And it's a way to keep her in your prayers, and also to assist her if you have the ability to do that. So the Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas, he's fighting for good friend of the show. She's been on a few times, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, and her license. So trying to ensure that she doesn't lose her license, because she is absolutely free to talk about anything she wants. She's been very vocal, very honest, very factual about what's going on all over the world, but specifically with her patients and her patient care around vaccines. So I'm really pleased to see the Attorney General of Texas stepping up to assist her on that. This is something we don't see a lot of in Canada. We don't see any political figures or attorney generals or anybody along those lines standing up for people when it comes to ensuring they can maintain their medical license, because they've done nothing wrong other than fight the system that's trying to shut them down. So good job to Ken Paxton on that one. I'd like to see more of this. If you're watching, Mickey Amory, hint, hint, get to work. Corey Morgan. So yeah, there's 3 or 4 major narratives going around about Alberta independence or sovereignty, and here's one of them. Most Canadians don't agree. Well, this is not a vote for most Canadians. In fact, because most Canadians are being used against us, you're actually making our point again. So keep it up. So here I post, it really doesn't matter what they think. The laws are clear following the legal democratic. I'll read Corey's first to give you the context. I don't recall Alberta concerning themselves with what most Canadians think. True. That's why only Albertans will be voting on the referendum. And this one is, most Canadians agree that, it's from National Post, that Alberta separatists asking U.S. for help is treasonous. Okay. First of all, there's nothing treasonous with talking to another country. You're allowed to do that here in Canada. Not asking the U.S. for help at all. So that was misrepresentation. And these are all conversations that are initial conversations for after a successful referendum vote. There is no U.S. assistance at this stage at all. Doesn't need to be any. This is a grassroots effort. All that's happening right now is getting some answers out of them about what is to come. Where can we rely upon them for support if we have a successful referendum? Would they recognize us as an independent state, not a U.S. state? The term state means globally. You're your own country. That's what state means. And that's why in the United States, they call them the United States, because they treat them as individual, almost a sovereign, not quite a nation, but a sovereign state. And that's why it's a United States. The word state doesn't mean you're joining the United States. And by the way, you should look at the word United Kingdom, because kingdom is a kingdom.
There you
that's
go.
the exact same thing, a unity of kingdoms. But in either case, my post here is, it really doesn't matter what they think. The laws are clear. Following the legal democratic process is not treason. I thank EB and, quote, most Canadians for their continued justification of one of the main reasons sovereignty exists. They simply don't respect or understand us. It would be great at this point to start seeing some love.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing it. So misrepresenting what's actually going on, getting most Canadians against us, and then getting them to the point where they call it treasonous, you're actually accelerating any sovereignty movement, because you're creating a much bigger divide, and you're creating a much bigger us versus them. And you're giving a lot of people in Alberta who are on the fence a good justification to go ahead and make a decision not to stay in Canada. Because why
Correct.
should you?
I'm not seeing any information on, hey, stay with us. Here's the reason why. Nope, they're just yelling at us and reprimanding us.
Yeah. And one thing that came out in the Mia and Jack conversation yesterday is, let's stop highlighting the shooter, the gunman. Gunman absolutely took a lot of lives. Let's start shifting all of the attention onto the victims. So Maya, as I have been looking, it doesn't look like she's lost her battle yet, so she keeps fighting. She was shot in the head and the neck. Beautiful young lady. Her family's praying, everybody's praying. So let's remember and support the actual victims in this. She's 12. Correct. And it turns out all the children were 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. And they've all been named now as well. So those are the true victims of this tragedy. Yeah.
And sadly, there was a sad ending to this young lady, 12 years old. She dies by self-harm following alleged bullying at middle school. And Lauren here says, please, or parents, please, I'm begging you, if your child is being bullied, consider changing their schools or homeschooling. You would probably just switch jobs if you were this miserable in your day-to-day, but children are rarely given the same choice by their parents. Wanted to highlight this after our conversation yesterday. Connect with your kids, talk to your kids, understand your kids, and realize no matter what, they're the most important thing in your world. We homeschool. You gave up a lucrative career to provide this to our children. Thank you very much for that. And parents, there's nothing more important than your children. So spend some time with them, understand what's going on, and help protect them. Bullying happens, but there's ways to get assistance and help, and even change schools if you need to try and protect them.
Yep.
So 12-year-old Kaylee Smith lost her life yesterday in Tumbler Ridge, so 2 days ago now. Her father has requested that we share her picture to remind everyone that the unbelievable pain that is being experienced by a tight-knit community will resonate for decades. So the families are asking to remember their children.
Yep.
These are the victims. These are the ones we should be talking about. So Kylie Smith, God bless. You're with our Heavenly Father now. And the family, we're absolutely sending lots of prayers to you.
Yeah, these are the faces that we should be seeing when we hear about this tragedy, not the shooter. These are the people, because again, these are the real victims.
Yes. And the Levine show, that's where we'll be focusing as well. So Freedom Honey, good friend of the show, Mike, Grifting Tommy is back at it. The Forever Canadian BS train is trying so hard. And if you read it, he's trying to confuse people. Why do you suppose after meeting with Trump officials, Alberta separatists quietly switched the referendum question from wanting Alberta to become a sovereign country to become an independent state? What a goofball. None of this is true. Absolutely none of this is true.
Just lies. Lies.
The question wasn't switched because of a meeting with Trump at all. The question was switched because of the judgment that came out of the court in order to more align with the requirements of the Clarity Act. The original question was kind of a two-parter because it said and become. So now it's a single question. There's no two parts to it as well. And it was because of the court decision that the question was refined. Had absolutely nothing to do with Trump. And it still doesn't mean joining the state. Because he continues here, like the 51st state, like Puerto Rico with no elected representatives. He is absolutely lying here. We can say this openly. He has no information that backs us up. This could be considered defamation. But he's a lawyer. He should know much better, but he doesn't care about that. So he's just trying to continue to scare people. The same way he went into long-term care facilities and told them that if you don't sign, you lose your CPP. Or if you don't sign, you'll become an American state. Like he was going around telling the elderly these two things. We've got several reports of that now. So unfortunately, Thomas Lusakic is still at it again. So I said liars be lying. At least he's consistent that way. So you can expect him to be lying. Western Standard here. Petition to stop funding Alberta private schools officially falls short on signatures. So there's been several petitions around, mostly this one. Now, to be very clear, what they were trying to do here was eliminate private schools. They said all public funds should only go to public schools and all kids should be in public schools. This is what they're trying to do. And I wonder why, because that's where you can be indoctrinated. When you go to public or private or charter or homeschooling, they don't have their hands on your kids and they can't mold your kids. So they were trying hard to force the government to do that. Failed because, of course, parents don't want that. Even parents that want to have their kids in public school won't support this. Trying to take away school choice. In either case, it failed. So I'm highlighting here that this petition and the recall petitions prove that the Alberta Teachers Association is a knee-jerk reacting special interest group, not a union. Unions don't do this. Okay. Unions might do this for their own benefit. Hey, everybody should be in public school because then they get more money. Because they get paid for every public school teacher that's part of their union. So the more public school teachers, they might be doing it for their own financial benefit. But the truth here, I believe, is the ATA has been infiltrated by ideologists who are pushing the agenda, and their goal is to get their hands on the innocence of the children and their minds and mold them into advocates and fighters for the ideology side of things that they're trying to push and support it. So I'm really glad that petition failed. It would have had a lot of trouble. Like you can't force a province to force parents to force their children into a certain system. This is
a lot of force.
Yep. Thank you very much to Lynn Brooks, who was in this was Whitby, who recorded some stuff. Again, at all our showings, we encourage you to record, share, take pictures before and after the documentary, not the documentary itself. But you're more than welcome to record and share the Q&A. We're not hiding anything. We're having conversations. And she highlighted here one from Dr. Shoemaker talking about the infertility of women after the shot, how it goes after the ovaries and destroys them. And then Dr. Shoemaker himself sourced and referenced what he was talking about. He's referring to a study done with Nick Holscher, who's been on the show a few times now, to actually source and reference what he's talking about here. So there's the ex post from Nick Holster that has the review or the report as well, the study. But yeah, ovaries are being attacked. You only have so many eggs, ladies, when they're dying. And here's how it's happening, according to Nick Holster and shared by Chris Shoemaker. The spike protein's getting in them, and the body sees the spike protein as a foreign substance, so it attacks it as if it's a foreign entity. And in the process, it destroys whatever the spike protein is attached to. In many cases for women, it's going to be your ovaries and your eggs. And then what he didn't get into, but I talked to him yesterday, same thing with males. Males are shooting blanks. They went from having good, healthy counts to zero. Now, again, it's not everybody, but it definitely is happening. Much like not everybody that smoked got cancer, but some did. So same type of thing. It depends on the person. It depends on their physiology. It depends on several things on whether or not you'll be harmed. And then if you are harmed, in which way? Because there's so many different ways to be harmed. But the study did show that ovaries are being attacked, and there's more information about men's production of semen as well being destroyed. So we did a great job in Hamilton. I was very pleased with Hamilton's show up. We knew ahead of time it was going to be a large group. So what we did is we pre-planned to do 2 showings. And I'm glad we did, because that's exactly what happened. So there was not a single seat available. We even had to ask Dr. Shoemaker to leave to free up one more seat to get a person in there. But every single seat was full, and the audience was absolutely engaged. We are on the big screen of this one because we're in an actual theater. And there I am checking the tickets and welcoming people. And here's what the group looked like inside the theater. So I'm really thankful to the staircase in Hamilton. We had no problems, no troubles. They didn't try and cancel us. They absolutely welcomed us in there to watch the documentary. And when you get a large group like this, it's very interesting because you can hear them. Okay, so as they're making your way through the movie, you can hear the grunts, the groans, the chuckles, the laughs, the sniffles, the tears. And there was 2 people in there who were not awake. I'm sure there might have been more, but there was 2 that were brought to my attention. And I was told as they came in, hey, these 2 are not awake. Both of them were crying in the front row as they were learning the story. So this is not the stuff that you see on CBC. That kind of came out pretty clear. And we were certainly touching a lot of hearts last night. And there's a lot of desire to remember Sean and to keep fighting with Dan to ensure that the justice is eventually reached here.
Yes.
And here's another clip from Lynn with me speaking about the legal side of things, where it's going, where it's at right now, what we're waiting for. When it comes to the appeals, we're waiting for the decision. And I think the government of Canada or Health Canada didn't like the appeal submissions, because that's where we heard shortly after that about the 15-year backlog of releasing the information. So we'll be waiting for the appeal decision. And the Pfizer lawsuit itself is starting to continue. The defense came in, and they're now working their way through getting deposition dates and disclosure done. And it's going to be great to see what comes out of all of that, because Pfizer has a legal obligation to provide everything that is relevant to this. And of course, what's relevant here is, did your product kill somebody? So there's going to be a lot of information coming out. Lots of expert testimony coming out as well. So stay tuned, as we're going to be covering a lot of that. As a journalist, I have access to the Ontario courts and the evidence and everything that's submitted. Even have video. I can get the live video of the trials. And also Dean Rainey, the director of our movie, he lives in the same jurisdiction that the court is going to be. So he's going to be spending a lot of time going to the court. And we'll be following up this documentary with another documentary, the part 2, which is the legal case as it unfolds. And also congratulations, young lady. So we got word that my wife, Paula, this beautiful lady right here, and myself have both been elected to our local United Conservative Party Constituency Association Board. So now we are officially part of the board to help guide and support the Constituency Association for Drayton Valley Devon. The boundaries are going to be changing in the near future, but we're definitely going to be working with the Drayton Valley group in order to support the UCP's movement and action locally in our community. And congratulations, Paula. So you're now on 2 boards. Maybe there'll be a third one for you.
Yeah, maybe, but also congratulations to you too. I think we have been very vocal about getting involved in our community. Doesn't change where we stand with regards to Alberta sovereignty, but working with what is currently in place to ensure that we're working to improve our community and best serve it.
So I would encourage everybody to get involved in some way: library board, school board,
Hmm.
these constituency association boards. I'm also part of the county appeals board when it comes to certain things like pest control, weeds, and dirt. So when it comes to those, the appeals will be coming before us as well, and I'll be part of that. So get involved. And you're also part of the community hall in Buck Creek. Very good
Yeah,
job there. You're very active there as well.
yeah, we have our AGM coming up, and I plan to be applying to go to the
Running for
board. There's
position
going to
there.
be
Yeah.
there's going to be a few revisions coming up, and myself and someone else plan to be joining as well.
So that would be a third board for you. So congratulations on being very active.
Yep. That's what I can say for the 1 day a month or the 1 day every couple of months, folks. It's really important. You can have your say and at least have a finger on the pulse of what's going on in your community.
Excellent. And I'm just going to make sure that we're having no trouble with our connection. Okay, so we are ready. Okay, so Eventbrite, we got a notice yesterday. You want to kind of touch on this? You're the one that sent it to me.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I get emails from Eventbrite, who the ticketing company we're using for the Sean Hartman story, The Shot. And normally I get an email stating that, hey, tickets been sold. Hey, the event's been closed now. Next one's on its way. And then I got an email saying that, hey, it's we don't believe that this event is following up with the Eventbrite's rules and
Community
guidelines. And so because of this, you need a direct link in order to purchase a ticket, which I'm assuming means that it can't be searched on their website.
That's exactly what that means. So it won't be listed on their website. If you go
Yep.
to, hey, what's going on in Oakville, we won't pop up. So they're giving us
Yep.
zero distribution, and they've never sseen the movie. So they made this decision based on either complaints or words or other things. But this will be the last time we use Eventbrite, because they did this for the Fundamental Truth one as well. They're just limiting reach, right? And that's unfortunate. So we'll find.
And I love the comparison you made to them to Give Send Go. They're the Give Send Go of ticketing.
Yeah,
people.
No,
is it Give Send Go? What's the other one?
The GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, yeah, the GoFundMe of ticketing.
People don't like using it. They don't like using Eventbrite. Yeah. A lot of people show up to the door. So we'll be switching to something else next time. And I see our guest is here. Let's go ahead and just finish up here. So as more details are being released, we pray for the Tumble Ridge shooting victims and their families and friends. So now their pictures and names are being released. Babe, can you go ahead and go through the names? Because I don't want to butcher these names. I don't want to mess with these.
So top row from left, we have Kylie Smith, Abel Mansoir, Zoe Benoit, Dikaria Lampert. From bottom row, from the left, Ezekiel Schofield, Emmett Jacobs, Jennifer Jacobs. There's children. Nothing but children in that
and one
list.
teacher there. Yeah. So these are all 12 and 13-year-olds. So let's not forget them. The pictures have been released. The families want them remembered. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can leave the rest for another time, because I have our guest here and I'm really excited to have him here. We pre-booked them. So it's been a couple weeks ago. I reached out and said, hey, you want to come back on the show? And he said, absolutely, let's do that. So we pre-booked them, but the timing couldn't be better given the situation in BC. We'll be able to talk to a very intelligent, smart political analyst and participant. And let's go ahead and bring him in. Good morning, Stockwell. How are you doing today? Oh, you can't hear us? So just reconnect. So reconnect, come back on. This happens sometimes. I'll just send him a text. Just reconnect. And then you'll be okay.
You can hear. There we go.
You got us now? We can hear you. Yeah, I don't think you can hear us. So reconnect. Yeah, you have to come back in. So we'll work on this. I'll try and send him a message here. So reconnect.
All right, and yes, Darlene, it is so sad.
Yeah,
it is
go ahead
very
and talk
sad.
about as I call them.
But we need to see the faces of the children, and yes, the teacher as well. But we need to see their faces because those are the faces that we need to be seeing, not numerous pictures of a certain person wearing woman face. And there was also something I had that caught my attention on the feeds yesterday. Apparently, a lot of the news outlets are applying filters to the shooters' images in order to make them look more feminine. So they're now starting to show a before and after photo, and it's looking like some mainstream media are applying feminine filters to the original photos to make the shooter look more feminine. So another way we are being manipulated in what's being provided to us. And I do love in our locals chat, they shared a clip here of a cartoon image of an elderly couple walking down the street, arms around each other. And the wife saying, he started believing things I knew weren't true. At first, I thought it was Alzheimer's. Then I realized he was been watching the CBC. I thought that was very, very appropriate. Yes. So your husband doesn't have Alzheimer's. Your wife doesn't have Alzheimer's. They're probably watching mainstream media.
Absolutely. And I'm just communicating with Stockwell right now. This might be something to start telling all guests is if you can't hear us, just reconnect. You should be able to hear us.
Yeah.
So he's trying. He's trying.
He is trying.
Yeah. So
and yeah, that is sick. That's disgusting. I agree. Yeah. No, thanks. Oh, and also thank you for all the birthday comments for Jason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, we have it. We had in our chats and especially in our locals as well. Everyone's saying wishing you happy birthday for tomorrow.
Appreciate my 26-hour birthday. Looking forward to that. Okay, so as we're waiting for Stockwell to reconnect, we'll go ahead and finish up some of this news then. Oh, I actually closed it. I didn't want to close that. Here we go. And somebody did something here. What was that?
It wasn't me.
No.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, share it here. I never seen this before. So React 19 official, 17-year-old Sean Hartman was required to take the shot. They're using clips from the movie, and they got to support Sean Link. So thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Wow, they're getting lots of traction on that. Let me repost that as well. It's
thank you very much for React 19.
Well, we reached out to them to provide us pictures of injured, and we said, "Hey."
Oh, right, they're
yeah.
Oh, I know who they are now. Yes.
Yeah. So all the pictures in the documentary.
Of other vaccine injured people or people who've lost their lives.
Yeah.
Is provided by them.
We also added them in the credits. So very, very pleased that they're doing that. They're showing parts of the trailer here.
Great.
Yeah, parts of the trailer. So thank you very much, React. Yeah, I just put that on my timeline as well. All right. So where do we? Yeah, right here. So Rachel Thomas is Mark Miller. So the Minister of Canadian Heritage says the CBC should promote social cohesion, a phrase frequently used by Communist China. And when asked to define it, he gave nothing. He gave absolutely nothing. So remember, word salad equals globalist agenda. It's not meant to make sense. It's meant to cause compliance via confusion. Let's see if Stockwell can hear us now. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. We got him. Thank you very much, Stock. We're Stock now, right? Now you can't?
Good morning.
He just had us and he doesn't. Let's try this again. How about now?
I had you and heard you, and now I can't hear you.
Okay, let's keep trying.
Oh, no. Check your connection.
We're going to keep trying. No, as soon as we put him on stage, he stopped. How about now? Anything there? Nothing?
I have a little message there saying everybody can see and hear me, but I can see you, but I cannot hear you.
Oh, brother.
Oh,
no. Okay. We'll try one more time. Okay, and see if can you hear us now? Give us a thumbs up. No, completely lost us.
I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That's
interesting.
Hear you. I cannot hear you.
Okay.
I can try here. Just a sec.
I'm going to call you, okay?
Yeah, so sorry, folks. This is technology.
Something weird's going on.
Something's funky. Good morning, Cesis. How are you?
Yeah.
Friday. It's Friday 13th. Hey, it's Friday 13th. Dun, dun, dun.
That's true.
Isn't that the bikers thing that always goes on in Ontario? On a Friday 13th, even like in the middle of winter, they ride. Oop.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, Jason,
Great.
you're muted.
Yay, we got you back. We got you back.
There you go.
Yeah, it doesn't show that I'm muted. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we
Yep.
can hear you perfectly.
All right, great.
Yay, third time's
Yay.
the charm. There we go.
Okay.
Thanks for your persistence on that. I'm not sure what the problem is. There's sometimes our guests have that. They just have to reconnect and we'll get them.
It was
But I'm really glad
probably
that you're
Putin
here.
trying to intercept our message.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. I don't know if you updated to the latest CSIS package or not. Maybe we have to do an upgrade, but yeah, quite possibly we have some weird bugs inside of StreamYard. But Stock, thank you so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. When I reached out just over a week ago, I asked you if you wanted to come back. You said yes. And then we had the events this week in BC. Are you currently in BC or are you in Alberta now?
I was in BC last week, and I am working very hard and diligently in Florida right now, as you might be able to see.
Okay, so but obviously you've seen what happened in BC and you're aware of what's happened there.
Up to date, hour by hour, getting reports there. Very, very beyond words, tragic and heartbreaking.
Yeah, so let's kind of just start there, and then we'll make our way through some of the political side, the policy side, opposition, because this is going to be a confusing issue to a lot of people and a very important issue to a lot of people. But let's start with what were your thoughts and feelings when you first heard the news as it was coming out?
Well, I think as with most people, just stunned, shocked, heartbroken, imagining your own kids, your own grandkids, and then not even.
Oh,
What? Yeah.
you lost. It's got to be maybe his microphone and stuff.
No,
Oh.
we'll try. I think we got you back.
I can hear you.
Yep,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah, your son, grandchildren.
Yeah, any of us, with kids, grandkids, parents. I mean, I can't think there'd be a human being on the planet who would not be just touched, shocked. I had to sit down. I was, walking, listening, following some news, and when the first reports came in, and that's where your first thoughts go. And it's frankly where my thoughts are most of the time during the day when I think about this.
Yeah, and prayers to the family and to the young girl who's still fighting for her life right now as well. And we're the parents of 9 and 11-year-olds. So this is, shocking to a lot of us as we're getting more of the details because they're 12 and 13-year-old children and a teacher there as well. But have you seen the online stuff? Because there seems to be like two major on the extreme side groups pushing. One side is saying this is a gun issue. The other side is saying this is a trans issue. And on our show yesterday, we had Mia Hughes, who has done a lot of research on the social contagion of school shootings and also of the gender ideology. And she is saying, be very careful. Don't make this a trans issue. There's a lot more going on here. That's surface level. There's a lot more behind this, like mental illness, the social society, the social contagion itself is causing a lot of people to believe things and act in certain ways that they wouldn't normally do it. So what were your thoughts about seeing how the media, both sides, are coming out and trying to label this and position this basically for ideology reasons at this stage?
Well, people do leap to conclusions. Sometimes those conclusions turn out to be accurate. I was seeing it, first of all, through the eyes of a dad, a granddad, a brother. And I also looked through the lens of, as you know, I was previously Minister of Family and Social Services provincially, and I was also Minister of Public Safety responsible for policing and protection federally. So I'm constantly seeing things through that lens. So we can't just say there was one single thing here. What is needed here beyond sharing the grief and keeping that in mind? What we need is truth. And I've been posting on this. I just did an article on it. One thing that does bother me is where it brings right into focus the whole debate, I guess you could say, on the transgender issue. And I think the millions of people around the world who first saw this, and first, of course, the shock and the heartbreak. And as soon as I saw the word female, and as soon as I saw the word she, I said to myself, there's no way a woman did this. And immediately there was reaction also, I didn't post that, but around the world you could see Nobody believed it was a young woman who did this. And yet some outlets, I have to say, and I don't think I'm being pejorative necessarily here, but CBC, even today, in their commentary, keeps, without explanation, using the word she in describing the shooter. Even the RCMP is saying this person was born male. CBC says the person was assigned male at birth. So you can see the position they're taking. This person and the mom, up until just a few years ago, on all of her postings, referred to the shooter as son, as he, and the father just yesterday constantly refers to his son, and this is a he. And so it gets you right into the debate because a person has been altered physically or even using pharmaceuticals does not change the fact that they were born a certain gender. It does not alter his chromosomes. And it's fair to say, you could say transgendered female, but you must include in the reporting male, born male, and male up until a few years ago, and still, I believe, continues to be male. And, we have to recognize that everybody, all adults have the right, and we should defend the right, to do as they wish in terms of how they want to define themselves, even what kind of medical procedures they want to go through. If people are, well, they want to have, private parts removed, if they want to have drugs, which for men gives them larger breasts, if they want to do those things, that is their right, actually. And so I'm not condemning anybody for that, but children need to be protected. And that's why I'm posting that, first of all, we should start talking real language and real truth. And second, I'm using as a model Alberta's model, Premier Daniel Smith, and increasingly around the world in a number of jurisdictions, saying no gender alterations, either surgically or pharmaceutically, until a person is an adult. Please protect the children, make children first. And I think we can say that without shrieking at each other across boundaries, across on the other side of the issue, and say what is wrong with protecting the kids until they have at least some kind of cognitive ability to make those decisions. That's what I would like to come to the fore. That's what needs to be dealt with, I believe, one of the main issues on this case.
Isn't it sad that that is not the case, that is not the common sense that we live with today? Like, what on earth is wrong with what you said? Nothing.
No.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That is common sense. It's common biology and it's scientific fact. The UK has been a leader on this. The CAS review, which they did an amazing array of longitudinal studies on this question of gender transfer, gender change, and they have issued an edict in the UK saying, we question much of the evidence that is being brought forward on the trans side. And because of that, and because we're not sure, we want to err on the side of protecting kids. So they've taken similar steps. A recent court case, as you may be aware, the Fox Varian case, the judges has ruled and awarded the detransitioned young person $2 million because they were not properly counseled along the way. So the amount of scientific and medical evidence is huge. And at the very least, even the strongest proponents of those who want to, radically change the physical bodies of young people, even they must admit, at the very least, it's a huge area of question and doubt. And when in doubt, shut it out. Don't allow kids to go down this road. We're seeing more and more evidence. And I'm simply saying, follow the scientific evidence, the medical evidence, and do the right thing politically, as many jurisdictions are doing. Stop gender altering surgery and pharmaceutical approach for kids. Make sure they're majority age before they can move into the rights to claim that type of procedure.
Yeah, there was a time where the default was do nothing until it's proven, but now it's to do something until you prove it. And that's not really what we should. That's called an experiment. The first one is called science. The second one's called experiment. And I absolutely believe they've been experimenting on the children as young as 5 with some of this stuff. And I like how you were laying out what's coming out of the UK, because Mia also speaks to that as well, that there's now been proven over time that no, this is not helping at all. It's not helping mental health. It's not helping their identity. It's not helping them at all. And we had Billboard Chris on earlier this week, where he cited a study that it's 40 times more likely to hurt yourself permanently when you go down this path, as opposed to not doing that. So the information's out, is now out, and we should see a big change here. Let's put your public safety hat on for a second here. When the first reports were coming out and saying brown-haired woman in a dress, what does that actually do when that's the description being sent out about a shooter, and the public and also the authorities and the law enforcement are using that kind of information to communicate, when it wasn't a brown-haired woman in a dress, it was a man in a dress? So when you do that kind of thing, what kind of harm to public safety does that create?
Well, you're leading with falsehood, which public safety officials should never do. And it just shows that at the upper levels of the forces, the men and women who protect us. I found this when we'd be speaking at universities to senior officers in various elements of public safety, senior officers in the military. They are much more exposed to, they take extra courses, and I commend them for that, to get, degrees and doctorates and things like that while they're still police officers. They are exposed to very high levels of cultural Marxism while they're still serving as police officers. And it's one of the reasons you often see a disconnect between the officers on the front line and those who are in the senior positions. And by the way, all the reports we're getting right now about the officers on the front line is that they are to be commended. Reports I'm seeing is they responded within 120 seconds. When they got to the scene, the shooter was still shooting. They immediately drew fire to themselves. They put themselves clearly in harm's way in order to engage. And this is something that in policing, and we used to deal with as a public safety, there's been a bit of a change there. For years, it was always, don't rush in, take your time, secure the area. And now we've seen the wisdom, well, around the world, really, in policing forces, you've got to move in as quickly as possible. And yes, you may, as a police officer, be risking your life. That is what you signed up for, and they don't say that lightly. So I want to commend those officers. And I can tell you, just because I know so many officers, let's say in the RCMP, and we still keep in touch, and I meet with many of them, there is an increasing frustration about this gap between the ones who are out there on the front line protecting us and those who have been, let's say, drank the Kool-Aid of the culturally Marxist view at the higher levels. And that just needs to be changed. It has to be safety first. So to your good question, as soon as I saw that, what a strange thing. The first thing they're doing, it's like they're protecting themselves. It's like the police are trying to lead the narrative right from the start. That is not the job of policing. The job of policing is to protect. The job of policing is to stop the threat. That's their job. To go along with perpetrating a sociological myth is not their job. And the present minister of public safety needs to send that message down the line. That's not politicizing the police force. It's telling them, stick to your lane, protect us, deal with the threats, give us the information. But they ran with that, trying to lead the narrative. Now, it's interesting that I know you folks do this. When you do a survey of media, even in Canada, for instance, I know I can talk about other networks here. CBC has been completely 100% misleading and deplorable on this. Absolutely outrageous. CTV, on the other hand, and they also get taxpayer funding, but they're not quite, it seems, as bought and paid for. They've been careful in their language. They use words like the accused. They talk about the fact that the father refers to this person as his son and uses he and him. So it seems to be, CBC isn't the only one. They're definitely leading the charge on this. And I know many of the reporters and journalists at CBC, they're friends of mine. I know them. They know it's not true what CBC is doing. But we live in a culture of fear, unfortunately. Fear that if you go against whatever the mainstream narrative is, you're going to be canceled. You could be fired. If you're working in a private business, you could be let go. And we've got to get beyond fear, go with fact, and press on for the truth.
Yeah, so
I like that. I love this. There's a really interesting point of view here from one of our locals supporters. If the young man was still alive and on the run with an APB on him, officials would be looking for a woman. Very dangerous. A very interesting point of view.
That's where I was getting at.
That's a great, I'm glad you raised it. That's a great point. And to go along with that, if the RCMP doesn't correct their falsified record on this, do you know that this year, then international people who are criminologists and who study crime around the world will see that the greatest, the most devastating slaughter of children in Canada was perpetrated by a woman. That skews all the investigative
Yep.
elements, that skews all the protective elements. It's a complete and utter lie. They can say it was a transgender person. They can say it was a person who identified as female but was born biologically male. But if they're going to be reporting that, there needs to be an asterisk because that will completely skew so much of the important criminal science work that needs to go on. It really is a travesty of justice that CBC continues this misleading and false angle, and that at least to date. Now, I think the RCMP is modifying a bit. They're mentioning, okay, the person was, but they still use this term assigned male at birth. Excuse me, and I don't want to be technical here. If you are born with a penis and testicles, and you have male chromosomes, you're male. You're not assigned that. That's how you came into
Yeah.
the world. So please drop this ridiculous language, is what I'm saying to people who are operating in the field.
And that's where I was trying to go with that question is when you're on the radio and you're a police officer and you hear woman in a dress,
Right.
that's what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Or if the information's going out like a text message to the community, a bit of an alert, and says a woman in a dress is shooting. Well, you're not going to find the right person.
Right.
Same thing is happening when it comes to race. They don't add the race anymore. They just say person.
Well,
And they're
unless
like,
you're
wait a minute.
white.
Unless you're white, right? So all of the stuff that's going on in the media is happening in the police force, is happening, all that. Who's going to give them trouble? Like, who are they afraid of? I know you mentioned losing their job, but is there really going to be a DEI department that comes down and said, you said male in that all points bulletin that went out, therefore you're losing your job? Or are they worried about the mob, the cancel culture mob? Or are they just trying to be sensitive in some way, shape, or form? Like, where's the
That's a great,
conflict coming from?
yeah, great question. And I think it's a combination of those. First of all, those who are, embracing so-called woke ideology, they also want upward promotion in their own jobs, so they're going to be seen as running with that. They know, CBC, I can tell you from friends who are journalists, they don't want to face their superiors if they raise it. Even in a team at CBC in a local studio, they gather, they say, what are the stories today? What are the angle we're taking? I can tell you those reporters are afraid to even raise that angle. So they're afraid of the power of those who promote this false perspective. And then it's fear of being online, being called hateful, being called, phobic. Those people fear that stuff because then it shows up. I could say to those of you who are afraid of being attacked online, many of the attacks that come are from bots. They're from many of these organizations. They have bots. These are, call them robots, AI agents, or whatever you want to call it. They are triggered, and it looks like people. They have names to them. They have faces. So many of the times, it's not. It's not the percentage anyway. But you need to stand up, and they attack you with the most awful things. They call you hateful, and they say you hate, LGBTQ, and nobody likes being called that. So there needs to be a combination of two things: the courage to stand up and say what you think is right and pay the price, and with that, an appeal to those who are using the epithets, for those who are attacking with the slurs. Stop it. You're killing people with that. If we don't depart from this trajectory of false information on this subject, we're going to continue to see horrific situations like this. Parents have told me that when they present to school officials and to the psychologists in school and they share the concerns they have, their kids may be having gender confusion, as many do as they're going through the adolescent years. They're told that if parents are told, this is by psychologists in schools, that if they don't agree with their child, that they're actually, trapped in the wrong body, they're going to risk their child committing suicide. And the language they use, I've talked to parents who said, the psychologist looked me in the eye and said, do you want a living trans child or do you want a dead child?
Mhm.
That's the horrific language they're using. And again, if we go to evidence, as all evidence shows, the risk of suicidal ideation is much higher among those poor kids who've been led down the wrong way, the wrong path, and those who run down this dangerous laneway of transgender. They are much more. Their risk of suicidal ideation and actually the completion of the act is much higher than those kids who are lovingly, patiently counseled to at least wait until they're adults.
That is absolutely correct. Both Billboard Chris and Mia Hughes brought both of those up. And that was how they got into the psyches of parents and kind of forced their hand. Do you want a dead child or not? And of course, a parent would say, well, of course I don't want. So this is how they changed their minds. But now we got to get people back on track. So putting your family services hat on, one of the things that Mia said yesterday was more resources for mental health. There's a lot of flags and that kind of can be identified, and this young man definitely exhibited many of those: violence towards his own siblings, lots of violent stuff online. There was a lot of flags, and her suggestion is there needs to be a lot more resources for mental health. And another thing that came out of this conversation with Jack, who's a gay conservative who went through conversion therapy, he survived it in the early 80s, and he says Bill C-4, even though he applauded it at the beginning, now that he sees it in practice and he's read it clearly, he said it needs to be repealed because it's not doing what it was said to be doing, which is protecting conversion therapy. It's actually created conversion therapy only in one direction and forcing people in a direction that you can't counsel or assist on. So with your family services hat on, what are your thoughts about Bill C-4? And how about resources for parents and children who are confused and need some counseling?
Well, I'm alarmed because, and it wasn't as complicated back when I was minister. You took for granted that parents and students were being counseled in and with evidence that was proven and was sound and was solid, and that is not the case now. They continue to be counseled with evidence that is proven, at the very least, to be highly questionable. So when we're talking about raising the amount of money, and I constantly heard that when I was Minister of Family and Social Services, and we did raise those funds, but the funds should go to the programs and to the counselors who are able to demonstrate they are using evidence-based psychological and psychiatric approaches. It needs to be evidence-based, and this simply is not happening. Those who are running with this. So more to resources, yes, but look at the resources and look at what now. A lot of counselors will, scream about this, but we're actually at the place now. This so-called conversion therapy thing. We're at the place now where you will be at risk right now as a counselor in a school setting if you are advising parents and a student to wait. You're not even making any commentary on gay or orientation or LGBT. You're not even making any commentary on that. You're just saying, please wait. That is now going to be classified as conversion therapy, and you will not be allowed to say it. And here's my appeal to the elected people, because I've been there. I know what it's like. I don't want to lose votes. I don't want people calling me hateful and phobic. You need to stand up, folks. You elected people, you need to stand up. You know what's right. You need to protect kids, and you need to push back against the direction that this is going. It's time to stand. Yes, we must be, of course, we always must be sensitive, but we also must be courageous. And it's time for elected people to be standing up and voicing this.
Okay, God bless you on that one. Next question I have for you is: you were the leader of the official opposition from 2000 to 2002, right?
Right.
Canadian Alliance. Now, you just,
Right.
I'm sure you paid attention to the Conservative Party convention in Alberta just a couple of weeks ago, where the vote failed to go ahead and ask for a policy that provided counseling for gender confused people. This would have been a change to C4 because C4 doesn't allow that. But the party voted down the idea, and narrowly, mind you, that, that there should be an exception for counseling. So what are your thoughts on that as somebody who's to lead a Conservative Party? But the party voting that down, calling it too divisive. And this is something I think that I'm not going to blame the shooting on that, but this may have been something that could have helped this young man and his family if counseling was available, which currently under Canada law, it's not.
Well, I was at the convention and I talked to a lot of people there. And first of all, I respect the democratic process. A vote's a vote. And if you lose the vote, you can come back, you can amend it, you can try again. And I think they should. The convention halls were filled with hundreds of people who were not in the room. I'm not blaming. A vote is a vote. But people that I talked to were shocked. They said, I just never thought for a second that that would pass. Observers who were in the room say just before the vote, the room was suddenly being filled with people who came in, kind of rushed in just for that vote. This would be people on the politically sensitive side who are saying we don't need this; it's divisive. Let's get rid of it. And it was a close vote. So I'm saying to people who were at the convention, myself included, be there, stand up for the vote. Votes matter. And I know those conversations are important. Matter of fact, right at that time, I was not there. I was doing a presentation to another group. I would have been there, but that was a close vote. And whether you're voting civically, provincially, or federally, what a great example of the fact that votes matter. And I encourage them to bring that matter up again. And maybe people will have awakened the hundreds who were standing out in the hallway sipping coffee while the activists rushed in and tilted the vote.
Now, with the party, though, like this is a member initiative, a member policy vote, but Pierre doesn't have to do that. If he chose to, he can go ahead and still move ahead and try and provide opposition to the Liberal government to open it up to counseling. Like I know at the UCP, these are more recommendations. They're not requirements. So is that the same case with the CPC? Like if Pierre wanted to, or all the MPs that were elected wanted to, they can go ahead and continue to push the Liberal government for counseling on this issue?
Yes, he can do that. Those votes, they are important votes. They give the elected people and the leader a sense of where people are at. He could quite easily say, I saw that vote. It was a close ballot. We're looking at everything, to do with this. Pierre Poilievre so far is the only federal leader who has in the past said something about parental rights in this regard. Do we ever think we'd get to a place where parents weren't able to weren't allowed to counsel their kids on this, where school counselors and teachers hide the counseling that the kids are getting to be transgendered? So he can certainly recognize that respectfully and say, they're going to continue to weigh this out and make their decisions based on the evidence in there. So a while ago, Pierre was good on this. I think he still is. But it's a time for leadership. Here's what you hear in the caucus rooms. When that issue comes up, I can tell you, the person who's chairing the caucus meeting and the leader is always there in the room will say, hey, folks, is this the hill we want to die on? This is always the phrase that's used. Is this the hill we want to die on? I say this, if we can't protect kids from being surgically and chemically altered, there are no more hills. What hill is there after that? This hill must be fought and it must be won. We're running out of hills, and it's time for leadership from the politicians on this. And I can tell you, Pierre is surrounded by people who they sit around the Capitol all day. They go to the fun places in the evening where they all sit around and acknowledge how they're all, certain levels of intelligence, and they are. You've got to reach beyond that group that wants, above anything, to avoid accusations from the media. You got to look beyond that. And on some issues, you just have to stand up and say, we're going to do the right thing and we're going to pay the price if we have to.
Correct. Like you shouldn't be worried about divisiveness. You should be worried about what's right, especially protecting the most vulnerable of our society, which is the children. This is our next generation. And I absolutely think we need a lot more courage in the leadership, because nothing would have said more if Pierre said, you know what, we heard you. This is our members' choice, but we think we need to address this a little bit more, get the ball rolling, have these conversations with the Liberal government to make amendments to C4. And by the way, Pierre voted for it. So if he said something a lot like what Jack said yesterday, Jack said, I was for it. I supported it. However, once it got implemented and I saw the damage and the other people that suffer from it, like, for example, detransitioners, they don't have a path for it. So they're looking at maids. If Pierre sounded more like Jack and said at the beginning, I thought that it was valid, but now in practice, it's got some problems, and maybe we should be amending it to have counseling. There would be a lot of people that applaud him. Maybe people that didn't even like him would applaud him on that kind of move. So I think you're right when it comes to the hill to die on. That might be the conversation they're having. And I think it's also some self-preservation. The same thing as the police officers and the media coming out and saying, a woman, that same trigger within them to self-preserve themselves might be happening here on the political level as well, where I would expect them to represent and not represent the constituents and the voters, not their own self-preservation. So I would encourage Pierre Poilievre to go ahead and take those kind of steps. Even small steps into that direction might be a good thing for him, his party, and position themselves up for a federal election that may be coming, some people say soon, or a little bit later, but at least position himself on that issue.
I'm glad you raised that as the election coming up, because the other thing that's bizarre about this issue, and let's just be brutally politically mercenary here, or not forget, but set aside the genuine concerns. This is what in politics we call an 80-20 issue. It's one you cannot lose on in the public vote. You will lose in the media because most, not all, most mainstream media are completely captured by a culturally Marxist worldview, completely captured by that. So yes, you're going to get ridiculed. Yes, you might not be invited to the champagne parties around the hill, but you will get votes. You will get the votes of people who are tired of politics and they don't go out to vote. But when they hear this, when they hear there really is somebody willing to protect kids, they will come out and vote. And frankly, this is a question that should be put right now to those who are calling themselves candidates for the leadership of the Conservative Party of British Columbia. It should be front and center. Where do you stand on the issue of protecting kids from gender transformation until they are 19? Be clear on that. Because if whoever wins, if they're not clear on that issue, I will guarantee I'll sit here, you can replay this, a year from now or whenever after Premier Eby calls the election. If the BC Conservative Party is not clear on this issue in terms of supporting kids, they will lose the election. They will absolutely lose the provincial election. That is a guarantee. And I will eat the shirt I'm wearing if they go into this election and if they win it without declaring it. This is a key, important issue. Every candidate should be asked to clearly, without hesitation, explain their position on this.
Maybe your political career is not over yet. Maybe Stockwell will come save the day when it comes to BC politics, or at least help guide it in that direction. But I think that's a very good point. The new leader of the BC Conservative Party should be addressing this. It happened in BC. It's a very big concern in BC, and there's a lot of NDP, liberal-leaning people there that have been pushing these narratives for far too long. I think it's time to stop the nonsense. There's your slogan, stop the nonsense, and get back to actually helping from a government standpoint. My last question before we jump over to our supporters section to have a couple more questions with you is, do you think the parents, helping parents get more resources to parents, so we'll put that family services hat back on, and help them understand what could be going on with your children, what's going on in society with these social contagions, how to identify it, how to work with your kids, and also how to work with this whole C4 counseling thing in a way that makes them understand, where the law is and also what your duty as a parent and your parental rights are. Do you think some more resources towards parents would be helpful going forward?
Well, certainly the resources of education to help them be properly informed. Parents are in fear. Parents know in their heart of hearts that kids need to be protected and they're terrified to speak up. So that's why we need, at the political level, that's why we need politicians standing out there and being willing to be called hateful or phobic. That will encourage parents. The main resources now is the resource of encouragement. And yes, they do need to get the resources. They need to look at both sides, as the court did in the UK. They looked at both sides. They actually it was a fairly respectful but vigorous debate on both sides. And the courts there came down with the side of scientific evidence, which shows this is a dangerous path. So those information now is the main resource that people need. And those who are doing the counseling, even in schools, they need to be reassured. And if it means that public schools need to hire counselors who are on both sides of this issue, then they need to do it at the very least, so parents will hear both sides. Because I can tell you in over 90% of the cases, when parents hear both sides, they choose the path of prudence. They choose the path of caution for their kids, but they're not being allowed to hear both sides. And that's where a significant part of the resource should be, so they can see and hear both sides on the equation here.
And I also like what you said before, evidence-based. So evidence-based. So
evidence-based, yeah.
It's best to do nothing unless there's something that persuades and convinces you, not pressures and forces you. You got to be persuaded and convinced, not pressured or forced. But I'd like to see a lot more work done around that. So Stockwell, if you don't mind, just hang on for a second. And if you lose our audio, let's reconnect, because I'm going to drop you from the stage and hopefully everything's going to stay fine. But thank you very much for today's episode. I really appreciate your time. And thanks for your wisdom as well.
All right, I'll stand by.
I'll be right with you. Right there. What are your thoughts?
Not wrong. It's not wrong. There's a little bit of a pushback in the chat about, do votes really count because is the system rigged? But overall, yes, we do need to speak out. And there's one chat here, this post from Darlene. She's in New Brunswick. In New Brunswick, the children can hide their new identity from parents because of policy 713.
Yeah, in Alberta, we actually required a law that said teachers can't do that. They have to actually tell the parents. And then we saw what happened there. They challenged that in the courts. And then that led to the notwithstanding clause being invoked in order to protect children with B9. That led to a bunch of recall petitions being fired at all of the politicians and failing. Yeah, but you see that fight. Like, they're fighting in every way they can in order to keep information from parents, give children a space where they can, anytime anybody anywhere, doesn't even have to be a teacher, says you can't tell your parents or don't tell your parents, keep a secret with me, that's bad news. Okay, that's bad news. There is no situation where that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a comment here in our locals. Parents should have confidence when they send their children to school, not terrified that they may be indoctrinated into an ideology that the parents disagree with.
Right.
Yeah, we're meant to trust the school system.
Right, and now you see why. Right, now you see why there was a petition in Alberta to stop funding private schools, because they're trying everything they can to keep these children in the hands of the woke ideology. And in Alberta, on all fronts, Premier Dennis Smith is fighting this, going to do whatever she can to ensure that children are safe. And I think that's a good model. It's unfortunate that we even need bills to do this in the first place. But at least we're taking a stand here in Alberta. And we didn't even get into the nation of Alberta. But part of the conversation we'll be having with me in the near future is, if Alberta did have that opportunity to start fresh, what would be a good way to do it to ensure that children are safe? So thank you very much to Stockwell. We're going to come visit him in a second with our supporters. But I really enjoyed this episode. And if you did as well, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that little bell, get it out there, share this out. It's good information. Maybe we'll get to Pierre. Maybe he'll listen to some wisdom from Stockwell there. And if you like what we're doing and you want to become a member of our show, go to thelevineshow.com, become a member. And then if you take the small step of becoming a supporter, you'll be joining these extended episodes that we're about to do with our supporters right now.
Yep, and if you're in the Oakville area for tonight, this is the last screening. While Jason is in Ontario, at least, you can go to supportsean.ca to purchase your ticket, or go ahead and donate to Dan's Give Send Go account.
Yeah, Dan's fighting hard for the memory and justice for his son. All parents should fight this hard as well to protect their children. So God bless you, Dan, for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, thank you very much for all the birthday wishes. Everyone, I hope you have, where applicable, have a great long family day weekend. We will be back on Monday, though, for a show. But otherwise, yes, everyone have a great weekend. And yes, thank you for the birthday wishes for Jason for tomorrow.
Yeah, and to not make Paula feel old, but this will be my last birthday that starts with a 4. So have yourself a wonderful day, everybody. You take care. Love you all very much, and God bless.